was thinking about this. I was like, today, I'm like, I put my investment in at the beginning. So when John gets really, really good years from now, and
Well, listen,
when
the
he
price
charges
you got,
thousands of
you've
dollars,
already,
I
Yeah.
still got him at the, his
Yep.
lowest
At the
rate.
introductory rate.
you
Yeah.
do, yeah, because
you locked it
your
in.
price is already like outdated. He's already like we tweak his pricing
All the time.
probably like weekly.
All the time. And welcome back to the Rally Back Project. Crystal and John.
Take two.
Take two. That's right. Welcome back home.
Thanks. Glad to be back with these little gremlins.
Are you happy to be back?
Mostly.
Okay.
Until they start screaming and arguing and not getting happy faces at school.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was good to see my dad. And definitely over like different days, it was good too, because some days are better than others.
Right.
But yeah, had some quality time with him. Kind of miss it already, even though it was kind of depressing at the same time.
Right.
But I'm just glad he's still here, and I made him promise to not leave until I come back. He said okay, and I said deal.
All right.
So before we introduce our guest,
I wasn't going to introduce our guest.
oh, okay.
I would say we were sponsored by.
Oh, okay, yeah, we can do that.
Okay. We're sponsored by.
Katie with Monarch Pine. She gave us 10% off with
She
code
gave you 10% off.
Riley Black on her Etsy, monarchpine.etsy.com.
All right. Now, what were you going to say?
We hit 50K downloads.
Bam. Today.
Thank you everybody who was
And that's because
downloading
our
some
guests
extra
forgot
episodes.
they were on today.
I know, because when
we recorded what
at
we were
that
supposed
time,
to,
we weren't at 50K.
we weren't at 50K.
So see,
they
we
knew what
kind
they were
of-
doing.
Yeah,
They knew what they were doing.
we'll thank them
Yeah.
maybe. And then also this person also gave me a heart attack and
Yeah. Was that
made
tonight?
me think that no funny.
And he forgot again.
Yeah, but yeah, 50K audio
50K.
downloads.
Yeah.
So that doesn't include anything with YouTube.
Yeah.
Just strictly podcast audio downloads. So
Yeah.
who
And
would have
clearly
who
we-
would have thunk it 3 years ago?
Clearly, we thought we had another week, which is why we didn't have the cake.
I know. I thought it was like, do we go? It was like 4
Right.
p.m. I'm like, do we go get a cake from Publix
And it's
like right
well,
now?
if we get the cake,
Yeah.
we're not going to hit it until,
Right, and I'm gonna eat it.
yeah.
So,
we have to buy
we'll go
another
get one
cake.
tomorrow
Yeah.
and just take a picture of it for
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
But we're terrible at celebrating stuff. Like we always say
Yeah.
we're going to, or we're gonna save up, and then we don't, and then it just never happens.
Yeah.
So like this is the year of like celebrating things, and there's a lot of big things.
Yeah.
There's the 50K, and then whatever else happens with the podcast.
Yeah.
And then I'm turning
Let's save it for
40.
the update. Let's save it for the life update. Let's get to our guest. What?
Whatever.
We need something to talk about in the life update. If
Fine, we'll save
we talk
it. We'll
about all
save it.
that, then we got nothing for the life update.
That's true.
So stick around to the end of the show for the life update. If you want to hear
For the one
what
thing
else,
I have left.
what else we see, she just the queen of teasing over here. Just
You're welcome.
give it all out. Anyway, our guest today was supposed to be earlier.
Yeah.
But here we are. Anyway.
They don't know that.
Huh? Who?
The people.
They don't know, but
They don't know he didn't
they're
show
gonna
up.
know now. They're gonna know now. Hardworking dude.
He is.
He worked his.
He was busy on a forklift when I was
Right. Well,
blowing up his phone.
Yes, that was today, but I'm saying in general,
Yes,
real
yes.
busy. Came out with a new line of adhesive, dual Tite.
It's affordable.
Friend of the show
Yes. And a patron.
and a patron.
Are you gonna introduce him yet?
Huh? Yeah, from Creative Cut Design Supplies. Design. Everyone has designs. Everyone
Not
has
him.
design, but not him. Supplies. Creative
Creative
Cut Supplies.
Supplies.
Yeah, cut, not with an S.
Yeah.
David, welcome to the show, man. Welcome back
Hey.
to the show.
Thanks for giving me a second chance. Let me come on, even though I kind of ghosted you the first time around.
Right. It was funny. So when I was actually looking for you, I hit up Stephanie to see if she had your phone number. and I didn't specify which David. And then she tells me, "Oh, I think he's live on TikTok." And I was like, "This motherfucker."
Yeah.
So then I go run over to TikTok, and you're not live. I'm like, "Which page?" And she's like, "Oh, that David." She's like, "No." She's like, "I don't have his number either."
He was live on a forklift.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like,
I was kind of hoping he was live on TikTok because it would have been fun to
Yeah.
like blow up his spot.
Yeah.
Like, hey, excuse me, sir.
Let's leave this platform and head over to
Right.
yeah.
So, what's new with you?
Oh, there's a lot new.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a tape brand now. That's
Right.
kind of the biggest thing that's new.
Yeah.
Um, we're making a lot of ornaments right now as well, because that's our main
Right.
company. And then we've got some other things in the works, but I'm not going to announce them yet because they're not fully
Official.
official. So,
Yeah.
but some exciting stuff, at least for me. I mean, everything we work on that we sell to laser people is stuff like that is from all the years of pain points we've experienced.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
people will like what we're introducing next, but
Are you gonna tell me off the air?
possibly.
Okay, I'll take
Keep her in her
possibly.
suspense.
Right. So a few months ago, you were in the thick of some mess,
Yep.
and I thought, one, I want to hear the tea. I want to hear the drama, and two, I want to share it with the listeners as hopefully like.
Cautionary
Yeah, a
tale.
cautionary tale. Yeah, to like let them know like that this is possible and like what you're gonna do to avoid it in the future. So I guess start us off with however you want to start with it.
What happened? Speaking of all things laser, check out Houston Acrylic at houstonacrylic.com for reliable laser tested and laser approved materials.
Made for makers by makers, Houston Acrylic features over 450 styles of acrylic sheets. With over 50 new arrivals being released this month, Houston Acrylic is committed to bringing new and innovative styles to the laser community. My personal favorite is the matte, anything matte, and I feel it's perfect for everything.
Don't forget to save 10% by using our exclusive coupon code TRBP10 at checkout. Get inspired today and visit houstonacrylic.com.
Do it.
Welcome to the revolution in laser engraving. Introducing Lens Digital, the creators of the game-changing Pyburn rotary attachment. With the Pyburn 4.0, you can turn ordinary cups, tumblers, glasses, and more into extraordinary masterpieces.
Looking to engrave niche items or want the functionality of a Chuck rotary? Look no further than the Pyburn Grip, Lens Digital's Chuck-style rotary. With a range of different sized jaws, you can easily engrave a wide variety of items. All Lens Digital products are compatible with most CO2 and Galvo lasers and were designed specifically for the laser industry. All that paired with the best-in-class customer support, Lens Digital is your one-stop shop for all of your rotary needs.
Transform your laser engraving game with Lens Digital, where makers succeed. Unleash your creativity today.
And don't forget, we are proud Lens Digital affiliates as well. If you're shopping, code Riley Black will take $50 off any order of $600 or more.
Yeah. So, well, first off, I would say plan ahead because then you're not rushing. So
I'm always rushing.
Yeah, I wanted to get my product onto Amazon, my ornaments, at least some of them, but I didn't, I end up thinking I have more time than I do and think that I can get more done than I can, but
All the
we're at a
time.
point now, and we've been the past year where I can't do everything anymore.
Yeah.
So I have someone who does my Etsy listings. I kind of put together documentation and training and videos and gave those things for how, okay, this is how I would do it. This is kind of our metrics or things to go by. So somebody does my Etsy listings, gets those posted. Same for my website. Or at least I will upload the things for them. I don't like give them access to my Etsy.
Yeah.
I wanted to do the same thing with Amazon, and Amazon is a whole different animal in and of itself. I mean, that platform is a pain and a half, but
yeah,
So I found someone. My Etsy person is a remote person. The Amazon person was a remote person. I still have the Etsy person that works for me. They still do phenomenal work.
Yeah.
But I found someone who was very knowledgeable on how to list on Amazon. They had worked for the company My Amazon Guy, so that's a company that does listings and things for companies. But
Okay.
so very knowledgeable guy. He knew his way around Amazon. So I hired him, and we started getting our listings up. Um, the first couple months went pretty well. I think we probably started listing in end of September, beginning of October, somewhere in that time frame. But we were really trying to rush to get things up to start getting traction because we wanted to take advantage of the holidays being an ornament company. That
Right.
for that company, I do a lot of business in like 2 months.
Right.
Um, so yeah, we were rolling along. The guy knew his stuff. I'll give him credit. He really knew what he was doing, and we were starting to get sales. He wanted to keep pushing other things like advertising more, so we could get more views here, or
Yeah.
spending the money towards getting your Amazon store. All good things, but anyways, it got to a point in when it was probably end of November, beginning of December. We're just gonna fast forward a little bit to where things get interesting.
Yeah.
We get an email from someone who is basically ended up they were spoofing Amazon, but it was like an Amazon Merchant Services like email address, which is but it was like an Amazon.merchant services or something. And I guess I just was not, you know, thinking in that time frame because I just am so busy with
Yeah.
all these things, and everything else checked out, everything looked official. And they wanted to work with us to get some product made for Amazon EU, and we started onboarding onto those different platforms. Um, and then they sent us like an order that they wanted for Amazon in itself. And we've worked with big companies before, like West Elm and other really large
Right.
companies, so that's not out of the ordinary for us. We had a sales contract, all that kind of thing. Everything looked very official. All the information they were sending, this person spoofing Amazon, which is different than the person working from me.
Okay.
It all looked very official. All the information they were sending me, I could verify with third-party platforms and stuff.
Yeah.
Which that's probably where they were getting them from. But but it's like everything looks very official. All the information they're sending me, all these data points and whatnot to basically support the hypothesis of these certain ornaments doing well in these certain categories. All that to say, we get a really large order, and then I start to make them, and it's all our most popular ornaments. So I figured, worst comes to worst, I'll have them anyways, and I'll sell them. But we ended up paying our employee, well, technically not employee, contractor, whatever you want to call him, a bit to get our listings translated, do all these other things to get onto these other countries, because essentially those countries had a better click-through rate on or buying rate, because there's less competition in certain categories. Like we had seen that in Mexico too. There were certain like nativity ornaments that had a better selling rate. So they're the same hypothesis for European Union, some of those countries, and that's where some of it got confusing. Is looking back, it's a lot of the information was true, and a lot of those things really checked out. But where it got interesting is I was supposed to have a meeting with this person that was claiming to be from Amazon, and the first day like that we were supposed to have this meeting, they didn't come on, like they didn't email anything for a hour or two, and then they were saying they're having VPN issues, and I'm just thinking to myself, this doesn't sound like an Amazon typical issue.
Right.
The biggest company in the world is having issues with their system.
Right.
And that's when I started to like see what's what's going on here. The thing that really made it difficult to see what was what is because there was so much truth that was mixed in with
Right.
everything. And we had a very, compelling reasons to believe the instance we were in. And
Right.
like the guy that was working for me at the time, I was like, he was doing really well. He was getting our listings up, but well, I'm kind of going backwards a little bit. Anyways, that's what I said. It's really complicating.
Right.
Like I'm
Yeah.
seeing a high level go through it. Anyways, we get to the next like day or two, and we're supposed to have another meeting. They ghost us again and said, "Sorry, we're having issues." What yada yada. And then I'm kind of getting cold feet, and I'm like, "Okay, something's wrong here."
Yeah.
Like I call a buddy of mine who does a lot on Amazon. I send him some of the emails.
Mhm.
Like I'm just like digging into things, trying to figure out whatever I can. I'm calling Amazon. Which one? Amazon is terrible to talk to on the phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Either way, like I'm just trying to dig into things. Be like, is this legit? Is this not legit? What's going on? A lot of things check out, but there's a few like missing parts to this story that just feel wrong. It's not like your classic Nigerian prince email or whatever.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I get a ton of random emails for all sorts of things that you can tell it's
Yeah.
obviously a scam.
Totally.
Yeah.
Like this one didn't seem like it. It just seemed
Mm-hmm.
a little more official. Either way, what I came to the conclusion of is that the guy pretending to be from Amazon was either my employee, worker, whatever, or someone working with him,
Mm.
and they were both in on it. Whether it was the same guy or not, I don't know. Behind an email, you can't really
Right.
Right.
tell. But yeah, so essentially, I'm not entirely sure what the end goal was. If we
Yeah, I
had
was
made
just gonna
all these,
ask that.
So did his workload increase and make you like
correct.
pay him? Oh, okay. I was gonna say like because it
Yeah,
didn't sound like any money had changed hands yet. Just you
yeah,
started production on it. But if it was him,
correct.
then it would increase his workload, meaning you would have to pay him more.
Yes, and that's what because I was starting to go through this whole situation. I like my mind was racing. Like, what's the end goal? Like, because I couldn't
Right.
really put a finger on it because he was
Right.
doing the work. He was doing a lot of the things, and he had other connections that would do translations or would do like
Mm-hmm.
the VAT or whatever
Right. Right.
registration. And so there was a lot of work that was getting done. And that's what was the confusing part. Because I'm like, well, is he just wanting more work? But
Yeah.
Right.
I really, that's the really weird part is I'm not entirely sure what the end goal was. I mean, I thought, well, maybe the end goal was maybe they do get the order done. We send it somewhere,
Right.
Right.
and then he already knows all my top listings, all my top
Right.
ornaments, and he could have them and resell them on Amazon at
Yeah.
a heck
Right.
of a lot. I really don't know what the end goal was because I mean, I'm not, yeah, because I ended up, cutting ties with him and I, called him out on like a list of things. I'm like, hey, if you can like prove to me any of these things,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
we can see if we can make amends. But like, there's a lot of missing pieces.
Right.
Like, get me a meeting with this guy, that's who this actual guy is. If you can do that, I'll believe you. But, until
Right.
you can actually get that, there was another like meeting that got pushed back a little bit too before that, for lesser stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
it's weird. The guy that did work for me, I did a lot of Skype meetings with. I've seen him in person, that kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing. So it's not like he's international, so he's not like in the States. So that's where it
Right.
gets hard to prosecute or
Right.
anything like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a really weird situation, and I guess the things I take away from it are like I rushed too hard to get onto Amazon because I was
Mhm.
late to the game. I mean, we
Right.
sold a lot in Amazon, but I ended up, between doing FBA, I mean, for product like ours, it was about probably 45% of our price was, or 45% of our ornament was going to Amazon, by
Wow.
the time it was all said and done for
Right.
FBA, 40 maybe percent, 45%. That's before advertising. And I'm like, that's not worth it. And that guy
Yeah.
Right.
really was pushing that to get, more volume. But I guess I really learned that, well, one, don't rush it. Two, like, really like realize that, you know, I'm the owner of the company, so it's okay to stop people that are pushing you and prodding you to, even though they're an expert in their field. And he
Right.
was, to be honest, he knew what he was doing. But it's okay to question and, you know,
Yeah.
slow it down a little bit.
Yep.
And then, yeah, so just putting things in place of maybe at a certain order value, or, I mean, in my normal wholesale business, I have a lot of, you know, information and things that all my companies send me.
Mm-hmm.
In this case, I don't know if I just wasn't like, oh, it's, you know, they have an Amazon email, or it looks like an Amazon email. So why
Right.
would I have to worry? Or, you know, why am I not doing my due diligence? They're going to be like, oh, this small fry is like questioning us, kind of thing.
It's like,
Yeah.
because everyone is a
Yeah.
scammer nowadays. It's
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
like,
Well, it's true because I've gotten those, like, your Prime account isn't paid, and then
yeah.
you click on the email and it's like whatever at ZXW's dash
Right.
14, and like, okay, well, that's not a
Well,
legit
and those are
email.
the somewhat easy ones to find,
Right,
though. But
but
I mean,
something that
there's
has
so
like
many
Amazon
that,
slash merchant, you're like,
well,
oh,
and if
okay,
it's
well,
like new to you,
right.
like if Amazon is newer, and you know, there's just so many different factors that make
Mm-hmm.
some of these scams work, and a lot of times it's just like, I don't know, they're getting better and better for
Right.
one.
Well, they're feeding on, they feed on, you know, a scam just feeds on your vulnerabilities. So
Yeah.
if you're a small company
Right.
and you're
Rushed. You're
beginning, well,
clearly needing help,
right,
you
well, you're
know?
beginning to like grow and whatever,
Yeah.
they're like, oh, this is going to be perfect, let me
Mhm.
offer them like this growth opportunity, they're going to jump on it.
Right.
And you know, I just have to have, you know, just little, like, you know, behind every lie there are certain bit of truths.
Right.
So it's
Yeah.
like just enough to where if you do like top, you know, just a little bit of research, it seems legit enough for you
Right.
to invest. And in this case, for him to like, I mean, speculating, but
Yeah.
create more work for you to pay him more
Right.
to
Yeah.
do these things. Like, he's creating more work for himself,
Yeah.
whether it's legit or not, you know,
It's crazy
probably
too,
not,
because
but
a lot of the scams you can't even necessarily really figure out like what they're getting from it.
right.
And it's like a lot of them require so much work on their side.
Mm-hmm.
It just always is crazy to me. It's like, if you really can put in that much time and work, you could probably have a legitimate business
Well,
doing something similar that's legal.
well, it is their legitimate business because a lot
No,
of
but
these
I
people
mean like
probably have like
legal.
farms of like people that work under
Yeah, but
them.
I'm saying legal
Oh, yeah.
businesses. Like they put a lot of work into
Yeah.
being a scammer, and it's like you could turn that work into just, you know, doing it the right way, but they just, I don't know,
Too many
maybe I'm
hurdles.
just naive and I don't understand like how much they actually make
Mm-hmm.
from like
Right.
you would think like the money they make from scamming has to like outweigh the time or whatever they'd make doing it otherwise. At least that's what you would hope.
Well, and then there's also the conversion, because it doesn't seem like it's a lot of money to us,
Yeah.
but it is to them,
Right.
wherever they are.
True, depending on if they're
And
yeah.
then so it's like you chop it up to a smaller loss,
Mm-hmm.
but to them that smaller loss across however many people they're doing it to,
Right.
and then you add the conversion rate of what
Yeah.
it's just
I just get so terrified for like people like your mom or my dad, or just, you know, they're not like so much, they're not up to speed with technology 100%.
I feel like it's even going to be us, because I mean
Oh yeah. I mean, it
about
can
what
happen
they're
to us, but I'm just saying
Yeah.
it's like I feel like it's even more
Yeah.
like
the older you get and the more technology go, because like now they have those the scams of, you know, your kid calling you
oh my
on the
god,
phone
with their voice
through AI.
Ugh.
So it's like, you know, it's like you say like my mom, but like,
Right.
you know, when JR starts driving, if we get an AI phone call
Right.
saying send me this much money,
Right.
how are you gonna be like, what's our secret password?
Right.
You know what I mean? Because you get
Just
called.
panicked,
Exactly.
yeah.
You're in a panic mode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Scams are scamming.
I don't know if Amanda talked about her, excuse me, the story on the podcast, and I don't remember a ton of details because it was like
Oh yeah, the palette
probably
of
like
acrylic.
2 years ago. Yeah, the palette of acrylic. And I think it was somewhere between like a $10,000 or $20,000 order, and they were basically like, I think like payment failed or something. I don't know. But she was literally about
Yeah.
to ship off this huge
Yeah,
pallet
sounds familiar.
of acrylic, and like payment fell through, or I don't know what, or her kind of like him towards the end, the spidey senses went off, and she's like, wait a minute, like something doesn't feel right or
Right.
whatever. And thankfully she then just needed to offload the acrylic she got, and hopefully like broke even, or lost less than she would have had she shipped it off. But yeah, it can happen to the best of us, and it's
Yeah.
hard too, especially because like, I mean, I've gotten the ones where thankfully I saw people had been sharing it elsewhere, and I probably wouldn't have done it anyway due to the size of the order, but they'll be like, oh, I want like 500 shirts. And then, like for a small business, you get an order like that, and
Right.
you're like, oh my God, you start calculating all the money and the profit and, all that. And that's what they bank on too.
Right.
Like, oh,
And then could this lead to more bigger orders from this one person? So
right.
yeah.
Yeah. And they put all that in there too.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this could lead to future orders down the line. This is like the first test order or
Right.
whatever. Growing pains.
Attention all laser owners and crafters. Are you tired of spending hours cutting, painting, and assembling laser products? Look no further than Crazy Laser Dad Laser Ready Blanks.
Their high-quality blanks are expertly sourced, tested, and ready to use with your lasers. Say goodbye to the hassle and frustration of time-consuming projects, and hello to more time creating and selling.
Plus, with their wide selection of items, you'll surely find the perfect blank for all your customers.
So, what are you waiting for? Visit crazylaserdad.com today and take your laser crafting to the next level with their laser-ready blanks.
Hey there, podcast listeners. How great would it feel if this was the year you finally got to escape your 9-to-5 to embrace your lifestyle of creativity and entrepreneurship?
Every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern, Eon Laser USA invites you to join the Freedom to Create webinar, where you'll learn how to make this a reality.
Join leading laser industry professional and brand ambassador Emily, aka That Mom with a Laser, and Eon Laser USA's sales manager Alicia as they dive into all things Eon.
Learn about the advantages of owning an Eon laser and get the scoop on Eon's rewards and partner benefits. Plus, get a glimpse at how everyday people who started out with zero experience paid off their lasers, scaled their businesses, and transformed their lifestyles.
So if you're ready for a lifestyle change, head over to eonlaser.us/whyus and sign up for the Freedom to Create webinar today.
Thanks for listening. Laser on.
Like, I think in any of those kind of scams, they really, like John was saying, they play on your insecurities, or they play on your, you really want it to be in order.
Right.
So you're like, there's the part of your brain that's just like, oh, it has to be because I want it to be. So,
right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think there's like just slowing down and just realizing that you can, I guess, take control in that situation because you're the business owner. It's your business, whether it actually is. Because I mean, I know people who do like Amazon Basics products, so it's not unheard of. But
right.
I'm like, oh, so this is our shot,
Right.
But I think it's okay to act like a legit business and not,
Well, to ask a bunch of questions.
Yeah, like just do your due diligence. I mean, if they're legit, they should have nothing to worry about.
Right.
Like if they're legit, then they will answer the questions.
Right.
Yeah.
And in a timely manner.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah, they'll answer.
Yeah.
Have the video meeting.
Right.
Like, who can't do a video meeting nowadays? Even if you're not like a big company or corporation,
Right.
like we all have iPhones or phones that can video conference. You can have a laptop that you can do they're like, that's not a hard request. That's why I always get shocked that people are still getting catfished.
Oh, and no video
like,
call.
how? And they're
It's
like, oh, my video
camera.
thing doesn't work on my phone.
camera's
It's
broken.
like, okay, come on.
Yeah.
Like,
I've had a phone. I can't tell you, like, I've never had the camera like broken on my phone.
no. And there's two of them. There's like front and back,
Right.
and like
There's
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. Well, thank you for sharing for the rest of us so that we can kind of just be, I mean, because it's in these situations, it's always like, like it can tend to be like embarrassing, or why didn't I see that
Right.
earlier, or like, whatever. But like sharing those things makes the rest of us like, more aware. Like we know that it's possible. We know that it's happened to, our friends who have great and successful businesses, and everything can look legit, but you just, doesn't hurt to like you said, slow it down and like double triple check everything is okay. And and if they're a legitimate customer, they're probably going to be appreciative because they want the same thing from you.
Right.
You know what I mean? To make sure that
That you're gonna
everything-
that you're gonna
that
deliver.
you're
and you're
actually
not a
gonna
scam.
deliver. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would say it's okay to get a second opinion, because I ended up, because like it's, when you're living every single step of it along the way,
Mhm.
you don't see the outside perspective someone else might
Right.
see. So, like it's okay, like, because I did feel a little bit of like, this is supposed to happen to other people, not me. I'm
Right.
supposed
Yeah.
to, not. But like I ended up, like I said, calling my friend, and I'm like, hey, can you just look at this? Like,
Does this
I
seem
know
right?
you will tell me what you really think.
Yeah.
You don't have a bias one way or another.
Right.
So I think it's definitely okay to have someone from the outside. I mean, depending on the proprietary nature of things, but generally speaking, it's good to have people, look at things from an outside perspective and, tell you what they really think.
Well, and who isn't so invested in the outcome too? Because like, again, same thing with catfish. I mean, a lot of times people don't see that because they're so invested in the possibility, and they don't want it to not be true. So you tend to like overlook some things, or whatever, and just, again, it doesn't hurt having a friend take a look and be like, oh no, this looks familiar,
or,
this looks
or
legit,
seems like a scam, or also too is like, oh, I heard of a scam like this. And then you do more research, but with that lens, like looking at it as a scam, it's like, oh, this is totally a scam.
It doesn't help me like wanting to get a contractor someday, because I already don't trust anybody. So like,
what, a contractor?
Like I don't know, like if for anything.
Oh, for what?
Anything for our stuff. I just don't trust anyone enough to know that like,
it's a lot of
and you
levels
have
of
to
trust.
give them like access to things a lot of times, or otherwise you like, I don't know, it's difficult. So do you have any other contractors besides the Etsy rep?
That's the only person in that. And so there's another part to the Amazon.
Oh.
I forgot about. But like the like, I didn't give him, control of my, like he had like Amazon, they have great integrations for people to work on your shops, and you can give them all sorts of permissions.
Good.
It's what I wish Etsy had. But for my Etsy person, they also do, I'm teaching them how to do my fair listings now in Shopify, but they don't have, well, Shopify, you can have like an employee or whatever, or contractor. Same thing with like Amazon, not as many permissions, but they can do edits. Like I've got
like limited access.
Yes.
Yeah.
So like I have her, she's able to, and my web guy too, he's able to make changes or things if I need it. For Etsy, they don't have that. I don't want to give anybody control of my Etsy.
Well, so and I have heard you do have to be very careful about giving access to your Etsy, because Etsy has kind of like this policy where if like something happens with the shop, if they, so say he has this Etsy contractor who helps out, and say this Etsy contractor is now connected to like a fraudulent shop or a scammer shop, or just a shop that had too many dings, and they're knocked off, they could attach him and his shop to that other person because of the IP address, because they go by IP address. So like if your mom and your sister all have Etsy shops that are completely separate, but your sister does some shady shit and she gets shut down, they very well could shut down all three of you. And like there's no fixing it.
Because of farming.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, they shut down everybody. So
Yeah.
that's a good idea to keep that
Yeah. That's
limited at
exactly
least.
the reason I don't like. They don't, because there's no secondary accounts you can add to your Etsy. So that's
Right.
basically, I found an integration where he basically does everything in an Excel sheet, and then it's formatted a certain way. And there's an
Nice.
integration called Nemble that you can basically upload those listings to Etsy, but she's not
Nice.
on my Etsy. So it works out really
Right.
well. But yeah, Etsy doesn't have those safety measures.
Right.
Etsy, yeah, we're not going to get into that. But
Uh-huh.
I
I
have
feel
a
you though.
love-hate relationship with Etsy. It's one of my best
Same.
platforms, but
Yeah.
it's
They're
weird.
yeah, I mean, I'll say it. They don't support their sellers the best way that they could.
It's kind of like
There's
the Glowforge of selling platforms.
it kind of is because you can't get a hold of them. If something happens, they kind of just send you these bot emails.
But they're your like entry. They're your
They
level
are.
in. They're your
And
foot
they're
in the door.
still, as much as a lot of us don't love them, they're still like there's a lot of people who are trying to take that space for that reason,
Right.
but none of them are doing it as well as Etsy is yet.
Like YouTube and video.
Yeah, and it's like, I mean, yeah, very similar. And you know, it's like every time they come out with a new feature, we're like, really, Etsy? Which sellers were asking for this feature? Like, come on. So yeah, it's just it's hard because yeah, it's a love-hate, you know, relationship with, you know, you love the exposure it gets you and, you know, the not necessarily having to market as much or, you know, whatever, and the like them having like a built-in customer base at the same time. There's, you know, you just hope nothing happens. And
Right.
I saw someone else, another conversation. This is kind of like a good transition into that is the talk of TikTok being banned. And it just passed in, is it the Congress? And now it's going to the Senate. I don't know any of that crap. But it passed somewhere.
Just the bill.
It passed somewhere, and it sounds like it's a very possible scenario that TikTok could be banned, and there's a lot of businesses that you know, have like
Interest.
do
Yeah.
very well with what TikTok brings them. And you know, it's just a reminder that you can't have all your eggs in one basket.
Right.
You have to have several different pieces. It's okay if one of them is your biggest.
Right.
And yes, that doesn't mean you're not going to have a hit. But if all you have is TikTok Shop and that gets shut down,
Then
like now what? Now and then
you gotta start all over.
Right. So you need to also be on Instagram. Even if you haven't like set it up yet, at least have it. You need to but an email list, which is one of my big things that I'm going to focus on. And again, with Facebook and Instagram going down, you know, last week, like, you know, you have to have a backup to a backup to a backup for every stream because you don't know. And I mean, what was it? What was that one? It was, I don't know if it was similar to Fair. I think, was it called Jane?
Yep, Jane.com.
Jane. And all of a sudden, Jane was similar. It was another selling platform where people sold like handmade goods. They literally laid off all of their employees and shut down the site with no notification to anybody. And people literally had like $10,000 deposits, you know, some obviously smaller ones, but there were some big sellers on there who had outstanding deposits of thousands and thousands of dollars that they didn't get paid from. And if you are focusing on just one platform, you're really like, you're putting like your 100% trust in another corporation to like keep your business alive. And that's never a good idea, you know? So, what was the other thing that you forgot about the Amazon saga?
Yeah. So basically, I as soon as I started getting cold feet and I like checked with my friend, I'm like, hey, there's like these things that aren't matching up that I'm just concerned about. Anyways, I started, you know, kicking him off from the guy working for me. I started kicking his access off to different things, you know, my Amazon, he didn't have any access to that anymore. I kicked off his account as a secondary, our Dropbox. there might have been one or a Google Drive, things like that. Like I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, I don't want you to be a part of any of these things anymore.
Right.
And I didn't realize this until after the fact that Amazon brand registry is separate from Amazon Seller Central. So essentially where this comes into play is my brand name, like Woodlander Workshop up here.
Yeah.
I have a pending trademark right now as of last year some point.
Yeah.
But we had the brand registered on Amazon with the trademark number and all that. And he had done that for me. What I didn't know, because I didn't, I was ignorant of this at the time, that that's a separate thing from Amazon Seller Central. I thought that was the same account. So
Right.
he had control of my brand registry, and I was like, I was on it, but I was not the admin of it. I was just a member or whatever.
Right.
So he ended up booting me off of it and holding that hostage. And that's like a very, very important on Amazon.
Yeah, I don't know a ton about it, but I have heard it's really important to get your brand registered through them.
Yes.
Whatever that means.
It's because from what I've heard, it's either like near impossible to get your listings connected after the fact or very hard. I don't know for sure myself, but because we connected all of mine, we got the store set up, yada yada with the brand. But either way, that was another debacle that probably took like 10 years off of my life.
Right, from the stress.
Yeah, because I'm like, I don't want to pay this guy another cent. I don't trust him.
Right.
But the legal fees to get, because I basically every single day I was calling Amazon brand registry, and actually no, brand registry does not have a phone number.
Of course.
Not enough. So I kept calling this Amazon seller support or whatever number it was, and they would like redirect me to them once in a while if their hours were open, and then they would, be like, oh, I will take care of it or whatever. And then I get an email saying like, you're not the admin of your account. I'm like, did you not listen to what I'm saying? Like I'm the
like I know that's the problem.
Yeah, like I'm the business that owns the trademark, and the guy that has the admin rights or whatever to it on Amazon, like you only had those because he got them from me. Well, I don't want that anymore. Can you like boot him? But like Amazon brand registry, the support ended up blocking me because I was emailing them so much, and they kept sending me like the same replies saying, you're not the admin of this. You can't, you can't do that. I'm like, technically the company is the trademark owner, not me. But I'm the company, guys. Like, come on. So that was, Amazon didn't resolve the issue for me. I ended up, because I was like, legally speaking, I'm going to be spending thousands of dollars trying to get this back. This could be like solved so simply if Amazon actually, listen to what I'm saying and not send me copy and pasted emails.
Right.
So I ended up going to the guy because he had started at like, I don't know what dollar amount. And then I basically said like, I'll pay you, I think $500, like 250 before, 250 after. I'm like, this is an amount that's going to annoy me, but it's an amount that I think we can maybe, like, it sucks. Like,
it sucks, but at the same time,
like,
you got to cut your losses
to have control of this, because in the long run, it's going to be way more valuable to have.
Right.
So I like paid him 250. I'm like, if he doesn't do anything, he doesn't do anything.
Right.
Out 250. If he does, I'm going to send him the other 250 because it's important for me to show that I'm honest. So that in case I find out I screwed up with something else that I didn't know of in the future, like I can just go back on, hey, remember when I was honest,
Right. Yeah.
Either
I mean, I don't necessarily want to piss off a scammer either, if that is, you know what I mean? So like at the same time, like here, like this is our, like, here's $500. You leave me alone. I'm going to leave you alone, and we're not going to make this messy. Messier.
I mean, he was brilliant. Like, so I know he could probably do things that I just don't even know of.
Right.
Yet. So it's like, just cut ties and because like there's the part of me that was in spite that just wants to like go after him with everything. I mean, it's only so much to do, but it's just like, on the other hand, I'm like, do I really want to bring more attention to the situation? And like the level-headed side of me is like, okay, like yes, this is very angering, but
Right.
they just cut ties, get rid of this guy, and
Yeah.
I ended up
It's just
getting
not
it.
worth the stress. Yeah.
Yeah.
It depends. Every situation is different. But yeah, there's been times in my life where, I probably should have pursued things further and just decided, you know what? Like, it's what's done is done.
Right.
I'm going to just work on moving past it and, let it go. And then there's times where I took a bitch to small claims court because she really fucking pissed me off and I got my shit back and garnished her wages because she wouldn't pay me. So, it just depends on the day, depends
Yeah.
on the amount.
Mhm.
It depends on like what additional trauma going through it will
Right.
cause, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, you got to you got to weigh all your options and there's no shame in just being like, all right, like bye. I'm
Right.
done with it. I'm not going to like, go through all the legal stuff and I mean, it just sucks too because going the legal route can be so expensive.
Right.
And
Yeah.
then it's like once you actually go through that, like then are you actually going to be paid and made whole after the fact?
Right.
Not
Well,
likely.
and then a lot of times it'd be cheaper to just pay, like, deal with
Yeah.
that person one-on-one. It's
Right.
like, well, I don't want to give them the money, but I also don't want to give double to a third
Right.
party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's like I like my attorney, but I don't want to make
Right.
Right. I don't want to employ him, I guess, more than I need to.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so a lot of things I learned in that, but yeah, just taking control of your own business, I think, and just
Yeah.
putting things in place and just treat them like your other customers, even if they
Yeah.
seem like they're above it.
Well, and never, I don't know, this may sound like pessimistic, but I guess just never really trust any parts of your business to someone else too much because when it comes down to it, it's yours. It's you're the one who can lose it. You're the one who, you know what I
Right.
mean? Like family or whatever, like, but
Sometimes that's
always
even worse.
That's true. I have heard some horror stories
Yeah.
about that too. So you just
Yeah.
you have to keep the ultimate control in it
Right.
and just make sure you're
Right.
double and triple checking along
And
the
it's
way.
hard because you normally, especially at first, you hire people to take things off of your plate.
Right,
Yeah.
And
right.
it's like hiring people kind of adds more to your plate because now
Yeah.
not only do you have to worry about that task that they're
Mm-hmm.
responsible for, but you're also like needing to see if they're on top of it and
Right.
how they're doing it. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
it's
Yep.
difficult.
Growing
I think-
pains for
Right.
sure.
Yeah, I think sometimes the best way is to, like, with the person who does my Etsy listings,
Yeah.
I learned how to do that myself. I learned how to
Mhm.
work
Yes.
it out for us, and then I
Right.
was able to put together the documentation. And I mean, they already had experience in doing it, but I
Right.
was like, hey, follow this guideline. This is
Yeah.
how we do it.
Mhm.
I had understanding of it. Like I knew what I was doing.
Right.
Yeah.
I know what to check for. So
Yeah.
like that, like I'm like, okay, if you master some, or maybe it doesn't have to be mastered, but
Right.
if you understand it, then you can make the documentation. You
Mhm.
know what things to check. Like she would always send me weekly. These are the listings. I would go
Mhm.
through and be like, can you change this, this, and this,
Yeah.
things like that. Whereas the Amazon, I didn't really know what I was doing
Right.
as much.
Right.
And I didn't have time to figure it out. Obviously, I think there is a place for people who are experts in fields, but
Oh yeah.
I think it's more so you need to work more so along. I mean, he did work alongside me, but more
Yeah.
having to teach you what they're doing
Yeah.
as you're going. And
Well, and maybe like try and find referrals from other trusted people,
Mhm.
find other like Amazon people that maybe in the industry or like, do take a little bit more time and like who it is, I guess. But yeah, it's never easy.
Yeah, or take that time that they're saving you with that task to then learn what it is.
Right.
That, like what goes into doing that.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, because again, I mean, if something ever happened to him, if you don't know 100% of it
Right.
either, then it's like, well, what if something actually like, not scammy happened to
Right.
him? Like, he passes away or he's
Right.
busy because of a family emergency. You don't want like that part of your business to be completely shut down because he knew how to do all of it. And
Right.
you
Or
didn't.
and also, are they gouging me because they know I don't know?
True. Yes.
Like that's another thing
Yeah.
too. Like, oh wait, this takes 2 seconds. Why am I paying you so
Right.
much?
That's like Heather, when she helps me with like the DNS stuff and like routing your website and all that stuff. She's
Right.
like, she when we were doing it, it would bother her that like people would charge so much to do it when it literally took like 2 seconds to like redirect like your website to the right place or whatever. It's just knowing how to do it.
Right.
But I also understand it because I know it's pretty simple, but my brain is like, and it freaks out and
So
I'm
you
always
would
scared I'm
pay-
going to break
right.
it. And so I would pay it.
Right.
But then it's like, then it's like finding that trustworthy person or paying them a ridiculous amount to do something that takes 2 seconds that my brain refuses to like keep in there. Every time I figure it out, I'm like, I got it. And then I go to do it again for something
Lost
else,
it.
gone. It all looks familiar, but I don't know what to do.
I had it.
Yeah.
It's gone.
So let's talk about something more positive. Let's talk about the dual Tite stuff. I'm curious, like, what's the background in that? How the heck did you go through making it happen?
Yeah. I mean, so the way I think about it is, we started out in the laser space. I mean, we're an ornament company mainly now. We didn't start out as that. I mean, we did a lot of ornaments at the beginning, but we pretty much cut everything else out. Last 3 or 4 years, we've been, at least our product side, we're a Christmas ornament company. Like it's Christmas here year round.
Right.
Like, I'm literally surrounded by piles of ornaments in here.
Yeah.
But the two products or two materials I use historically, well, still now, but now I don't use 3M anymore. But historically, I use plywood and 3M. So at some point, a couple of years back, we got to a point where I just couldn't keep buying material from, having it shipped, getting the small pieces. I have bigger machines now. The 12 by 19 just don't really
right.
that 10 of them in the machine, it just doesn't, you lose a lot of material. So I ended up finding a source for plywood and working with them to kind of do the core we want, the veneers, whatever. And that's kind of where the plywood business was born.
Yeah.
Like, well, I have to buy a bunk of each material. Like, oh, I want some maple and I want some walnut. Great. I have to buy a bunk of each to get what I want. So that's where that was born. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to start selling that. Just I threw it on Etsy and didn't really advertise it until kind of really last year.
Yeah.
And then, so that's kind of how that grew. And we always had used 3M tape. We used a ton of it every year, rolls and rolls. And then I'm like, well, I kind of wanted something a little more affordable. So last year I was testing a lot of different tapes when I had time, different manufacturers, and then I found one that we liked. And then I guess basically like, well, we're also have a tape brand now.
Yeah.
We're like, I sent it like with my plywood. I sent it to people to test way back when, and then our next announcement has to do with plywood, but I'm not going to go into that yet.
Okay.
I just sneak peek, but I don't want to until everything is buttoned up. I don't want to.
Right. For sure.
In case like, oh shoot, never mind, doesn't work out.
Right. Just kidding.
But so yeah, like since we use it so much, I'm like, well, this would be a good product to bring in as well. We can definitely, I was like, well, I think we can make this work for a good price point. Honestly, like part of me feels like, man, am I just really selfish? And I just go after these products for my own, product line first. And I'm like, oh yeah, I like it. So other people probably like it kind of thing.
Yeah. But I mean, that's a great way to do it though, because if it's not something you like or would use yourself, it's kind of hard to then turn around and tell people like, you want this is also good for your business. And they're like, oh, okay. And I mean, people are going to ask like, okay, what settings do you use on, this, like your plywood or whatever. And like, have you ever had this issue? Have you ever run into this? Oh, I don't know, because I've never actually cut it or used it myself. You know what I mean? So like, I think that's the perfect way to find something that if it works for you and it does well for your business, there's a chance that it's going to do the same thing for other laser businesses as well. I mean, it's the whole reason keychain thingies is even a thing, because when I was looking for them, I was like, I need these in my life. And then a whole bunch of people were like, me too. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well,
Well, it's
I'll
also
order them.
the thought process behind the Piber.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like it's like, oh, this can help.
This
you
could
know,
be better.
This helps me out.
Mm-hmm.
If I make it, you know, in mass to help everybody else out.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and like, you know, I'll order it in 10,000, you know, 20,000 quantities so that you can order it in 25, 50, and 100. You know what I mean? Like, it didn't make, it doesn't, it's, of course, they could go straight to, because I guess one misconception that a lot of people have with keychain thingies is I've been asked several times if I have a patent because the trademark confuses them.
Right.
And I'm like, I didn't create any of these.
Right.
I would love to. That's a
created the
goal,
name.
like
Right.
down the road, is to make other types and colors and all the things.
Catch us on Shark Tank.
But right now, I'm a reseller. I look out.
Right.
I look for the good sellers that have quality product, that have all the colors, that have different options, and I look for all that stuff and test them out so that you don't have to.
Right.
You know
Right,
what I mean?
Yeah.
And you know, then if I end up loving it and it works well for me, then I pass that on to,
And so that you can buy with peace of mind.
Exactly.
Keychain thingies.
and you can buy 1 or 100, and you
Right.
don't have to buy, you know, the
Or the
crazy
1,000
MLQ for some of those, because like the little tiny plastic pieces,
Right.
like some of the MLQs are like 2,000 on the low end. So it's like, you know, no one needs, not no one. Some people may not need 2,000
Right.
yellow extra strength keychain thingies.
Maybe you need 1,000.
Right. Yeah. I was impressed. We had that customer the other day that had ordered like 3,000 packs since October and November. And I'm like,
Yeah.
damn, that's a lot of keychains.
Keep them coming.
Right.
I'll say I took keychains off of my catalog because since we're mostly an ornament company,
Right.
like I basically took everything else off because people would just occasionally buy things like keychains or coasters or whatever, and I'm like, this is just annoying at this point. You know,
Right.
Right.
like I just want to be good at one thing, and
Yep.
it's gonna be ornaments. And
Yeah.
but
Do you always have a tree up?
it's in the other room. It was up all year. So there's one in our base. It's kind of our content tree. Like if we need to take
Right.
photos or anything or videos.
Right.
We also took it to the trade show. What also made that whole Amazon thing really fun is we had a trade show, and like the biggest gift in like whatever show in the country
Yeah.
was in January. So we were also getting ready for that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we're talking. But essentially, we took that Christmas tree with us to the show as well. But it never goes away.
Right. Talk about the trade show a little bit too. Like, how did you like find that? What prep did you do, like going up to it and all that?
Yeah. We've been selling wholesale for quite a few years now, and we already knew a lot of people in this space. So I asked 1,000,001 questions. Basically, the trade show we went to, it's 3 buildings.
Wow.
There's like tens of thousands of retailers that go,
Uh-huh.
and there's thousands of manufacturers or vendors or whatever you want to call them. Some of them are bigger companies that have, like, they represent different lines. There's all sorts of vendors there.
Right.
But there's 3 buildings. They've got, I think, 15 stories in one, 18 stories in another, and 20 maybe in another. And it's just all full of vendors and booths. Some of them are permanent, some aren't. We were in the temporary section in one of the buildings.
Well, and you call it temporary, but like it was a pretty, like you had to drive there, right?
Yeah. Well, if we were ahead of, we could have shipped our booth there, but we were just so behind that. I mean, we were finishing our booth the week That was when we had a bunch of snowstorms here and we lost power here twice too, and that was fun.
Oh, wonderful. That's
Trying
always
to
nice.
finish a booth that's got to be done in a couple days with no power.
Right.
But yeah, so we set it up and we ended up driving down 12 hours to Atlanta, just because there's no time to ship anything down.
Right.
Right.
We're going back in July, so hopefully, well, we have the same booth spot. But yeah, it's essentially in the temporaries. You set up, you have like 3 days probably to set up.
Okay.
And then, you show for a week roughly.
Mm-hmm.
You got like one of everything, and then people will place orders, and then
Okay.
you ship them out whenever their ship date is.
Yeah.
But in the temporaries, everybody sets up for that week, and they take down because they've got different shows throughout the year that are for different themes or different like it could be a fashion or whatever.
What was the theme for this one?
This one's just their general like big one for at the beginning of the year.
Okay.
It's just like I don't know, just their general market. So they've got all sorts of stuff. Like, I mean, they have fashion and stuff over, like,
Yeah.
But they have everything from furniture to gifts and souvenirs to fashion to food to, I mean.
And so what kind of customer are you selling?
Retail stores.
Okay.
Well,
okay.
Not all retail. I mean, retail stores, shops, all sorts of businesses.
Business, but B2B, yeah.
B2B, correct.
Yeah.
It's all B2B. So they're getting wholesale rates, but they have to buy in quantity, hit our MOQs,
okay.
minimum order quantity, things like that.
Right.
But it was expensive. It was very expensive. I mean, a lot of that it was our first ever trade show.
Right.
So there was a lot of costs to, printing catalogs and, getting the flooring, building the booth and building everything. And I bought a bunch of pens that I didn't really give away. And
right.
we made some, I would say if you ever do a show, like don't make 2 giveaways, like make 1 because people will take the one and not the other.
Yeah.
So that's why I have a lot of pens. But just a lot of expense, like first time expenses, and just making one of everything when you've got hundreds and hundreds of ornaments is a pain. So just a lot of labor and things too. And then you have to get there. So you're either flying or driving and then
or shipping. I mean,
yeah,
I know you say that people can ship their booth, but that sounds really expensive because you had like huge like wall panels and like you said, like the flooring and
yeah. I mean, it probably wouldn't have been too bad. I mean, I think I can ship freight to Atlanta probably in the $300 to $400 range if
not
I
terrible.
Have a forklift and they have a forklift.
Right.
I wouldn't quote me on that, but I mean, I can figure it out. I've got an LTL guide, but it's not terrible. Well, because I'm in Michigan and Atlanta's relatively close compared to California. If I did a show out there, that would be painful.
Right.
Actually, I don't think it would be that bad. I think it'd be about $500 or $600 to ship to California.
Yeah. But I mean, that all goes into it too. You have to factor, some of my friends were trying to figure out if like the next level laser conference like made sense for them as well. Cause it's like, you don't have to buy the ticket, but you have to pay for the table. You have to pay for all the inventory you need while you're there. You have to pay, basically for the fact that like, if you're your only employee, that you're not doing any work while you're at the conference, flying there, hotel, like all it can add up quick. And that all goes into, is this beneficial to me?
Right.
Am I going to make enough sales that will then, make it so that I'm in the green after the fact? Or am I going to make enough connections with the community that eventually that will pay off? Because, you can't, one of my friends, I'll leave them unnamed, but, she kept talking about how much she would have to sell to make up for what she was going to spend while she was there. And I'm like, yes, but the one thing you can't put a price on is you being there and people meeting you who didn't know about you before. And it doesn't matter how big you are in the laser world, there's people who don't know you.
Yeah.
And that they may be seeing you for the first time because you just haven't crossed paths in their little corner of the laser
Right.
world, and so they don't know you.
Or they
And-
see you in passing. They see your name or whatever, and then they see you in person. Like, oh yeah,
Right.
I've seen you post.
Yeah, I
on
might have
certain...
seen that on
Right.
Facebook
Yeah.
or whatever. I just never. Who needs another Facebook group? And maybe they
Right.
just didn't join your
Right.
group because they're already in 150 like
Right.
me, you know.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, you have to factor in that stuff too, because there's times when like you make that connection that it may not turn into a big sale right away,
Right.
but then it turns into, you know, something down the road that's like, oh, you know, I'm glad we met there.
Right.
You know, so
Yeah. I'd say the biggest thing one of my mentors told me is like, we're not in the product business, we're in the people business.
yeah.
It's all about networking, connecting, and like as much as it doesn't make sense, sometimes it actually, you know, it's. I mean, you need people to help grow your business and like,
Right.
just it's all who you know and not what you know. Like all the opportunities we've
Yep.
had, yeah, we put in a lot of work, but it was because of certain connections a lot of
Yep.
times too, and just making those connections. And it's,
Yeah.
I mean, it's a mix of the both, but
Right.
you can't do it without knowing people.
Right.
And
Well,
getting-
we're learning that, you know, like big through your stuff, because
Right.
it really, yours even more so is who you know
Right.
and who you've talked to,
Right.
and have they seen you work, and have they
Right.
seen what you can produce.
Right.
And like when they're talking about like, oh, I really could use some help getting the videos, and it's like,
Right.
oh, you need several people to be like, I know a guy.
I know somebody. Right.
Because if they don't know a guy, it's going to be hard for them to find you organically.
Right. Yeah.
Be like, you know, if they look
Yeah.
on a Google search for video production
Right. There's
in
gonna
their
be-
area, it's going to be saturated with people who do different, you know, million different
Right.
things.
Yeah.
But if you know enough people who you've made that connection and that networking with, you know,
Yeah.
that's how you end up getting
Yeah.
the jobs.
For sure. Or if they're like, they're going to, we've been going to a lot of networking meetings.
Right.
If they're going
My
there,
anxiety loves it.
if they're going there to network with, they don't, they know that they need like to either change their video person,
Right.
or they want to add video, but they're not expecting to see that at said
Right.
networking
Yeah.
meeting. So then I show up there, they're like, oh, I have been thinking about that actually, and this and that.
Yeah.
And then you get the whole
Yeah, a
thing
lot of times you don't know where to go.
right. Well,
Yeah.
then you go through the whole thing of everyone's looking for it, but no one wants to commit.
Yeah.
Is what I'm running into right now.
Not no one.
No,
People are committing.
no,
but
they
it's
are, but
definitely-
it's there's a lot of interest and
Yeah.
like not much immediate follow through.
right.
Because unfortunately, promotions and marketing is kind of like an afterthought, especially if you're just concerned on fulfilling whatever services or orders you
Right.
have going on now. So
Yeah.
it's like, well, I know I need marketing,
Yeah.
but I'm trying to do this right now.
Making it a priority.
I can't really handle more,
Right.
but I want to.
Right.
So it's that whole that juggle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know a friend who still owes us some video.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was saying,
But-
I committed,
but they're committed and the money's on this side already, so they can take however long they want. I'm like, I'm here, I'm ready. I'm ready. I got you.
I was thinking about this. I was like, today, I'm like, I put my investment in at the beginning. So when John gets really, really good years from now,
Well, listen, the
When
price
there's
you
I
got,
thousands
you've
of
got
dollars,
already.
Yeah.
I still got him at the, his
Yep,
lowest
at the
rate.
introductory rate.
You
Yeah.
do, yeah, because
you locked it
your
in.
price is already like outdated. He's already like we tweak his pricing
All the time.
probably like weekly.
all the time. Yeah.
And it's all depends on like what the job is and like
Yeah.
how
Well,
long
it's-
term and
it
like
is-
what
it
goes
is
into
very,
it.
It is very specific.
Yeah.
It is very like per job, because no two things are
Right.
are the same. No two
Right.
projects are the same.
Yeah.
They involve the timing. The time is different.
Mm-hmm.
The resources. I am leveling up my gear as I go on.
Right. Yeah.
So therefore, it's like that
your
also
little,
depreciates
corner of
my gear corner.
of the,
I got
the
some.
office.
I have some awesome lights.
You do.
If you've seen my promo that I did myself standing like here, just another angle of this
Yeah.
here, like it would have been super dark. I wouldn't have been able to do it with these lights.
no.
But yeah, I got some really nice lights. But I also it took a lot of R&D to find those
Right.
lights,
Yeah.
and then it took me a while to actually pull the trigger on those lights, because my biggest thing is it's hard for me to like reinvest it in the business, and then I mean everything that comes. I picked the one like the one thing
Yeah.
that the gear costs
So much. Yeah.
The gear is like ridiculous. Like,
Yeah.
oh, you bought a camera, cool. Now you have to spend double that for a lens for said camera,
Right. Or
because
the mount or
whatever,
the backup batteries
whatever.
or
Yeah, everything is like this, almost the same cost as the camera itself.
Right.
Yeah, it's just,
Yeah.
but it's fun, and we're growing.
Yeah.
So
That's awesome.
And the networking events, I will say, they're getting easier. They're
Yeah.
not nearly as like
Yeah.
terrifying.
Yeah.
The first one, they were like passing around the microphone. And I was like, nah, not over here.
right,
Don't bring that over here. And then the second one, I was like, okay,
I'll give it a shot.
well, and then by the fourth one, I'm like, I don't even care if you order from me. Just order, like, have him make you a video. I don't want to make the things, but there's no laser people here that I can talk to about the podcast and keychain thingies. So
You can come as my backup.
yeah, that's true. I think I'll do better in that role.
Yeah, you just come as my
Because
backup.
I get like your behind the scenes stuff.
Right. Yeah.
He calls me the producer because when you message John,
She's corporate.
I am very
she's my
corporate.
corporate.
And he's like, no exclamation points.
Listen, if you get an email that's not like this, she
it's
wrote it.
not even like
She
that.
wrote
You you communicate like
Like a guy.
like a guy. So someone will send you and you're like, okay, cool.
I'm right on it.
And then just period
That's it.
or looks nice.
Yeah.
No punctuation, So I'm always the one poking and prodding you to. I'm like, can I see it? And then he'll write it first, and then I'll do my little like crystal adjustments to it. So yeah, if you receive a message from him, it was likely that it went through both of us.
Right. And if she's not available, I got AI on my side.
That's
ChatGPT.
true. Chat GPT is pretty
the
good.
win.
Yeah. Well, and then I do have some good ideas, like from angles or like
You do.
you
Yeah,
know.
you have input. Yeah.
Creative on the video side too sometimes. And then just to annoy him, he can almost never can he send me a video
Nope.
that I don't like. Can we tweak that? Can we switch out that video for this?
She's my worst client
Sounds about right.
because she doesn't pay.
Yes, I do.
She has all the
I pay.
revisions, none of the money.
Rude.
Probably the most video content you have to make too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I also get to test my new gear with her. So
You do. Yeah.
There you
So
go.
it's
See?
give and take.
You're welcome.
I just threw that in there.
So rude. So, I mean, how is it like? So you work with your wife,
Yeah.
and like how do you guys like make that like what is your wife's role in a lot of things, and like how is it working with your significant other?
Honestly, we work really well together. She works less in the business now than before, but I mean, without her, we wouldn't be where we're at because
Right.
we both put in a lot of work the past 4 years, a lot of no sleep.
Right.
But now we have a 14, 14-month-old.
You lose track very quickly.
Yeah.
I look at the time. I'm like, man, is it already halfway through March?
Right.
Yeah.
But so Sarah, which was the plan all along, she kind of
Yeah.
wanted to step back more.
Mhm.
The idea was to work her out of the business, not in the sense of that she can't work in the business, but that
Right.
it doesn't rely on her.
Yeah.
So she can work on it, whatever, when she can or when she wants to. But
Yeah.
our daughter is a lot of fun, but she's also a handful.
Same.
But yeah, so Sarah does still do a lot. I mean, she put a bunch of ornaments together today. She does like all our social media stuff, other than Facebook, like stuff I post. But
Yeah.
anything you see on TikTok, Instagram, I mean, she does all that. I'm not good at that.
Yeah.
but yeah, so she still does a lot of things, but she's in a lesser, I guess, involved before. Still very involved. I mean, definitely a lot of high level stuff. I mean, I talk about the business every single day with her. I mean, we still talk about it all the time.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we're both trying to. Have you ever read the book The E-Myth?
No.
It's a great book. You need to read it, or listen to it if you're into podcasts.
Yeah, I was gonna say, does it have an audio version?
Yeah. Michael Gerber. It's a great book. Every business owner, I shouldn't say every.
And what is it again? The title?
The E-Myth.
E-Myth. Okay.
It's a really good book, but it's been recommended to me the most out of any book from other business owners. But essentially, the idea is, and this is what I'm trying to do, is like get my business to a point where I'm not like obviously working every little side of it, but I can like walk away if I need to some days and just not like it runs without me. Essentially, the idea of the book is it's creating a franchise prototype is how he phrases it, kind of like McDonald's or American Express or other companies where maybe not American Express, maybe it was FedEx at least back when FedEx used to work well. But essentially, you create the documentation, all that, and you get your business to run well. And so the idea is, if you wanted to, copy and paste it, you could, and it would work. But the idea is you create the one prototype that works, and that people can follow the correct documentation, the correct things, and you have it set up well, and you're leading well, and managing. But it kind of runs well on its own. So I mean, right now I'm doing way too much of all the little things, and it gets to a point where you're going 10 different ways at the same time, and it's just too much. So but you have to work on the documentation and the training but so just that's where we're at right now, is
not having to do everything.
And it really it's really hit us hard, especially me, because recently, because I work a lot of like in the holidays I was up until like 4 a.m. every night trying to get ready for that trade show. But it's just when you have a kid, and you guys probably understand this, like it's just like you don't want to be working much after 5, 6 if you can help it. Obviously, being business owners, you aren't always afforded that luxury, but because the work doesn't get done if you don't do it. But like just wanting to get to a point where you have the flexibility and you can do things with your family, and you can be around as much as possible. And
well, and I mean, ultimately, when you are figuring out your business, knowing what your goal is as far as your business and the family life part of it is super important, because that will help you, like, it will help you with what decisions you should make, what things should you take on. Will that still allow you the flexibility to do these things with my family, or am I going to, like, temporarily I'm going to be unavailable, because I'm busting it, like, for 6 months or a year, or maybe even a couple years, but to then have the flexibility in a couple years to where I barely need to do anything, or you know what I mean? Like, but figuring out what you want your, like, family life and work life, like, balance to look like is really important in knowing that, so that you can make those right business decisions that align with that. Like, I remember when my friend, she was doing some like interview like thing, and she interviewed me about like Riley Black, and she was like, do you want to be like the go-to laser person, or do you want to be like, in every store or whatever? And if I can do that and still be able to, like, not work past 5, go to every practice and soccer game, and you know what I mean? Like, as long as it aligns with that, then sure. If I can figure out a way to make that happen while also having the flexibility. And I mean, we were saying, I think when I went to go visit my dad, having that flexibility to where I can go leave and go see my dad and
Right.
not have to ask for vacation time off
Right.
and not have to clear it with anybody and not have
Right.
to, have some other huge sacrifice for doing so besides the money it cost me.
Right.
It was really
Yeah.
the only
only thing,
thing
yeah.
that was like, the factor. And then when you really think about that part too, it's like, okay, well, I'll sell a couple more courses and like now it doesn't matter how much I spent to go see my dad because if something happens to him,
Right.
it costing $1,000, $1,500, you're not going to give a shit at that point,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what's like important to
Well,
us.
Also, not having to judge. I have X amount of time off.
Right.
So do I go now? Do I go
it was
later?
it was always the worst.
It's always like a
and
juggle.
you
And it's like
know-
if I get it cleared, if I get this trip cleared, would that mean like I won't get next trip cleared?
Right. And then you're having to think
It's-
about like, okay, if I go see him now, if he passes away, am I gonna have enough time? Like, does that is bereavement gonna take care of me?
Right.
How much bereavement are they gonna
Right.
give me? All of that stuff. So it's just knowing that will help you like proceed. Is it bedtime?
Bedtime.
And your
And of
phone's
course, the
over
phone's
there.
all the way over there.
Great. It was good seeing you guys.
That's one thing that we've been doing that keeps ending up on the podcast every time we do a late one is us trying to get to bed at a more reasonable hour because we tend to, after the kids go to bed, we're like, oh, okay, now we're going to like have our me time. We tend to take a little bit too much and then it makes it so it's harder to work the next day. Because now we stayed up too late and now we're like sluggish with work and we're not, pushing as hard as we could and should had we actually got some sleep.
Right. And I'm back.
Yeah.
Hello. Did you actually turn it off and not snooze it?
I think so. I turn off the next one.
We'll find out then. But yeah, especially with kids, it's just like, they get it to a certain extent, but like you can't ever get that time back when they're young, that like, I mean, when they're any age, you can't get that time back. So, if it's like a temporary thing and you're starting to put stuff in place, it works. But.
Yeah. It's hard to play that. I mean, it's one of the driving factors that led us to make the move we did.
Right.
Yeah. Like that. So
and it's hard.
it is.
It's like, oh, are we gonna be able to easily pay our mortgage this month or like whatever? But then it's like you are able to be at every practice and game when
and
at
every
the old schedule you wouldn't have.
And every like whatever parent teacher meeting.
Yeah.
Whatever.
We need another one of those coming up.
Whatever's needed. And I mean, even if like a chaperone thing or a volunteer thing comes up, like I can easily, fairly easily. Like next week is gonna be. Next week my schedule is swamped, but but other than that, So.
And you said how old is your daughter? Like a year and a half, or no? Year and like 3 months.
14 months. Yeah.
14 months.
Okay.
Yeah. Flown by.
I feel like there's more flexibility like at that age, but I think what is it around 2 or 3 is when they start to notice like if you're not there or if you're not there.
They'll
like,
let you know.
Yeah, they would straight up said it to you. Yeah. Are you gonna be home or daddy's home or Yeah. So.
Yep.
Yeah. Do we have anything else we need to?
No. Where can people buy dual type?
Yeah.
CreativeCutSupplies.com. And maybe I'll buy the domain Creative Cut Designs now too. But
right.
we'll see.
Are you a domain hoarder like me?
I am. I have like 10, 15 of them.
Oh, I have way more than that.
Okay, yeah, I'm probably like a lower tier. Like
Still though, yeah.
So many good domain names left out there that it's hard.
Right. Yeah, true.
Unpurchased,
But if you find one, if you ever have like a good idea and you go out there and it's available, they're so cheap that like you kind of just got to grab it, like just in case.
Yeah.
They're so cheap until you have like 10 to 15
Yep.
or 30 of them stacked up.
And then you keep
each
getting
other.
the GoDaddy like reminders
Yeah.
of like, oh,
The
and I'm like,
renewal.
what is that? What is renewing? I'm like, why do I even? And I should have at the very least be like redirecting them to things instead of them just. I just own them.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't do that. And then I actually just had to buy. I just spent a lot of money on the RileyBlack.com domain.
That's got to be a expensive one.
It was. It wasn't terrible. Like GoDaddy suggested, like the suggested price. I think they said like 3,000 or 3,500, and I was like, "Ooh, that's spendy." I was like, I don't think I care that much. And I had already come up with
then
like
we came up with an alternate that was really good.
What was it? I don't remember. Oh, All Things Riley Black.
Yeah.
I own that one too.
Yeah. So we came up with that as a backup, and then they accepted our offer.
Yeah, and I was like, shit,
And
now
like,
I gotta
damn,
pay.
now we gotta pay that much because we just came up with a really good
Well, yeah,
one.
because it had gone like several days without them like responding or anything. So I kind of thought like, it was lost.
Yeah, because design started, with T-shirts and everything, and that was like, that was just the start.
Right.
And then as we've grown, we've kind of attached Riley Black to everything.
Things.
In some form, like Riley Black Project,
Right.
Riley Black Media, Riley Black Creations. Like, so we need that umbrella Riley Black.
Yeah. And it was taken, and it drove me nuts. I was like, give it to me.
Not anymore.
And then it was worse
It's ours
because they
now.
weren't even using it.
Yeah.
I'm like, just give it to me. You're not using it.
You know what? It's better that they weren't using it.
That's true.
Yeah,
because it made it so it was easier for them to hand it over. But
Wait, is your website? I just typed in RileyBlack.com and it says the site can't be reached.
I haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
I paid a lot of money for it.
We have the domain, but
you know what I haven't done yet is create a website because that takes for fucking ever.
I mean, if you want to create an Amazon store, I got a guy for you. So
okay, yes. So actually, last year I signed up for Amazon as a seller, and then there was just so much stuff going on with the move that I never actually went through it. But I want to get keychain thingies on there because I hear it all the time of where can I get these on Amazon? And like you can get them, but not from me.
Then our acrylic space is gonna be gone.
Yeah, maybe no.
Yep, because when keychain thingies, you think they're taking off now?
No.
Put them on Amazon.
I mean, that would be amazing. That would be great.
And then you could get your Amazon basic thingies.
No, because then they'll knock me out.
That's what I mean. Wah, wah. They're gonna be Amazon basic thingies. Things.
Well,
They're not even say thingies. They're gonna be Amazon basic things.
Yeah.
Because you got your thingies, so they're just gonna call them things.
Yeah. Yeah, but eventually I'll get on Amazon. But I want to make a better podcast website, which I guess that could wait because the one I'm doing with, the one I did like through GoDaddy that was just like a landing page. It works. It's nothing fancy or crazy, but it's very limited. And then I need to create one with like just basically a one for RileyBlack.com that has all of our things in like one place. So although I feel like that will be kind of hard to make it not messy. I'll have to find a way to make it like streamlined of like
of what it
here's
is.
all the things, the too many things that we do. Yeah. Well, thanks, David.
Yes.
It was great to have you on again, and thank you for sharing your not so great story.
Hey,
but
live and learn, right?
Right.
Yep.
So,
and unfortunately, there will probably be more.
Wait, what?
I said, unfortunately, there will probably be more lessons we learn because.
Oh, I was like, I'm getting scammed again. What's going on?
By me, give me your money.
Can you let me
I'm a
know
terrible scammer.
what you're planning?
Yeah. And we forgive you,
Yeah.
for ghosting us this
Yeah. I
mean, it
afternoon.
happens.
But
She called it as soon as you didn't respond to the
yeah,
messages.
it had
she,
been like 5,
he
10
forgot.
minutes, and I was like, he totally forgot. And I was like,
Yeah.
I could still be sleeping right now. Because we didn't even get home until what, 1 a.m.? Almost
12:30, I think.
12:30.
Yeah, so we pulled
Yeah.
up. Yeah.
And I knew I was going to regret it, but it was easier than having to record like right before I was about to like go to the airport.
Right.
So,
Yeah. So
we figured it
Yep.
out. And since you did ghost us, we hit our milestone by
Yeah,
then. So
exactly.
That was all a part of the plan.
right, yeah.
I was just sitting there with my phone, just like, oh, no, nope, I can't go on yet. So,
But let me go download a bunch of
Quick, hey, download the podcast. Download the podcast. He's calling all his
Right.
friends. Download the podcast.
You're gonna be at the Next Level conference, right? You were
Yep.
kind of
Nice.
deciding whether you were gonna go or not, and I feel all of us bullied you enough into
pretty much was what
Yeah.
happened. Yeah.
Perfect.
Nice. So
Yeah.
we'll see you in Tulsa.
So, yeah.
right.
Actually,
That's
yeah,
gonna be here a lot quicker
very
than
soon, like
Yeah.
3 months away.
how many months?
3 months, 3.5. roughly.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Okay, I gotta get it together. I gotta make like a banner, and things always take longer than you think.
And then we got 2 more trips before then.
Ugh. Okay.
Yep.
Well, let's get off so that we can go to work.
Well, Dave, thanks for being on. And you guys stick right there for the much anticipated life update coming up next. And we're back with the much anticipated life update we all said we said all in the beginning.
Kind of.
Pretty much.
But
You're back.
I'm back.
Yep.
Tired.
You got, what is that dizziness thing you got? You got crystals in your head.
Oh my god.
She's got crystals in her head. Crystal has crystals in her head.
I honestly forgot that had even happened, even though it's still happening.
Yeah.
So literally a day before I'm about to fly out to Colorado, in the middle of the night, I had rolled over and I got dizzy when I rolled over, and I was like, okay, that's weird. Moved on because I was half asleep, went back to sleep.
Right.
Because it was quick. It was over, and I was like, okay. And then I sat up that morning and dizzy, and I was like, what's happening? And then I kind of was like lightheaded, like dizzy, but for the most part, like nothing too crazy, like during the day.
Mm-hmm.
And then that night I go to lay down, and all of a sudden, like, again, now this time when it happens, I'm not groggy, I'm not half asleep, I'm not turning over in the middle of the night. I'm awake because I'm about to go to bed. And the world, like the room is spinning out of control. And I'm like, what is happening? And then again, happens when I roll over, I'm like, what? So then I'm like, no, it was 2 days before, because I remember thinking like, okay, the first night that had to have been just like a fluke.
Right.
And then the next night I'm like, let me sleep this off. No, didn't work. And then I eventually Googled it because I thought it was odd that it was mostly happening when I was laying down or rolling over.
Right.
And Dr. Google diagnosed me with BVVP, I think is the initials. But it's basically like these crystals that are in the wrong spot in your ear.
Yeah,
and so
your
it
inner
tells
ear,
your
right?
brain, it tells your brain things are moving and they're not.
Right.
And literally, like, my eyes like will like twitch
Twitch.
and like move, like, yeah, it's not a fun feeling for sure. So yeah, I got to get on finding a doctor. I found like a fix for it that you can try yourself, but it's not foolproof. So like even in the video, they're like, if you don't get the angles right, it will fail.
Right.
If you don't turn quick enough, it will fail.
It's like 3 positions, and it's supposed to move the crystal like through
it and back
and
to
then
like
back
where
to
they
where
belong.
it's supposed to be.
Yeah. So,
Crystals
but
got lost.
my crystal got lost. Yeah. So, dealing with that, and then all the stuff with my dad, and then now just trying to get back to business. Then there's the exciting stuff with the 50K.
Hit
And then
50K.
we have a lot of things coming up. April, we're gone for 2.5-3 days for the Sign
Expo.
ISA
in
Sign
Orlando.
Expo. I'm excited about that.
So if
because,
you're going there, you'll see us.
Yes. Amanda with Cerulean Tides is going. Mom is going. Marissa with Pearl and Pine is going. Who else? Lauren with Barley and Oak.
Oh, okay.
Lizzie with the House of Timber, I think. She's going. So a lot of people that we've had on the podcast that I haven't met in person. So that'll be awesome. And I don't have to vend. I don't have to teach. I don't have to I'm literally just there to just network and see people and hang out content. And getting content.
Yeah.
Of course, because everything is content.
Yep. Everything is content.
So that's in April. And then May, we have my 40th.
Yep.
And our first time back to Vegas since we got married there.
Yeah, going to Vegas.
Yeah. And then
without
June,
the kids.
Yeah, thank God. June is our vow renewal. June
and is also Tulsa at the end of June.
June is also Tulsa. And then from Tulsa, I'm going back to Colorado for like a week.
We're gonna part ways at Tulsa. You're going to Denver. I'm coming back home.
Yeah, I'm gonna be like, peace out. And then at the end of July is the triple birthday party.
Right.
And for you, Jackson, and JR. And then I'm gonna not want to do anything for the rest of the year because now I'm exhausted just talking about it.
This was a horrible idea to go to all these events. So
it isn't because it's like you know what I mean? Like they all kind of they all go into it, being at that Sign Expo means we get to meet people that we never met in person.
No, I'm excited to go, and then obviously excited to go to
all
Tulsa for the next level. Yeah. What do you guys think? We got rid of the white thing.
And the white thing is gone, so it'll hopefully help you color balance or whatever you call it a little bit easier. We finished it all the way to the top. He did. Yeah. He finished it all the way to the top. Because before, if you zoomed out far enough, you'd see the white wall at the top or the bottom.
And you see it down here too.
Yeah.
Now it's great.
So we're just making things look a little more polished, little tweaks and bits there. Oh, and you just did something for Riley Black Media.
Yeah. Just I did an ad. I was gonna hire out the voiceover part, and then I shot my portion of it. Yeah. And I was like, you know what? I just want to get this done now and one day. So I then turned this on and voiceover the voiceover part. Yeah. So it's completely self-produced, self-shot. Yeah. It's a great
but especially if you're pushing it for all the people, you kind of need one for yourself.
Right. I'm telling people that you need ads, you need marketing,
you need
tools,
video,
and I'm not doing it for myself. Right. So it's like, Yep. So it's kind of like you make all these signs and all these things, and we don't have anything at the house.
Oh yeah, someone was like, "Oh, I bet your house is covered in stuff."
Not
and
at
I'm
all.
Absolutely not.
Right.
I have made the signs and stuff that we do have in the house are stuff that I made so that I could make the file,
right? And
then just didn't end up selling the actual physical product. It was just we'll put this in the bathroom.
Yeah. So check out Riley Black Media on Instagram or Facebook or
the website
RileyBlackMedia.com or the YouTube channel that has 0 subscribers and is really only up so that I can put the videos on my website.
Yeah, but I had an idea.
You did have an idea.
Today,
you did have an idea.
I think that you should be repurposing your YouTube.
Yeah, I was
for some things.
I was showing her my lights that I was really excited.
I'm sitting in his chair, and he's showing off. He pulls the lights out, and he's gleaming from ear to ear, and look at this, and look how it does this, and you can move this, and I shot this with it, and then it did. I'm you should be reviewing all of your products because how many times before
I don't make them.
Well, yeah, but before you buy something, half the time you're looking for a YouTube review of them.
And I find them.
Yeah. And they tell you either what you need to know about whether you want to buy it or why it might not be the right fit for you.
It was hard to find one on these lights. Yeah. So
There you go.
yeah, gear review.
So yell at him if you don't see him doing reviews on the gear that he has.
But then that means I have to
because-
buy more gear, which I'm not opposed to. But
Or maybe people
Well,
send you
at
gear.
first, I have to buy more gear.
No, just make one when. Listen, how long is the list of things that you want to buy? It gets longer every day.
Yeah.
Okay, so then as you're able to,
I can do these mics because I really like these mics.
see, there you go. And as you're able to, first you just start with the millions of things that you've bought for our businesses. Then you
And
go
this
down the
this arm is
line.
great. This is an amazing arm.
Rode, are you listening?
No, Rode doesn't make these arms.
Oh, okay.
Rode makes the mic, but not the arm.
Yes.
But these arms are great.
But yeah, just start with what you got already, and then as you
Yeah.
level up with new gear and
Yeah,
stuff.
it just takes time. It takes time. away.
All the things.
All the
take
things
time.
take time. But
I get
you
it.
are right. Definitely.
Yeah.
Got to work on that gear review stuff.
Yeah, and I think just like tips for people who are trying to do video and stuff like that
Yeah.
too. I think will be because there's a lot of people who like won't be able to afford even your introductory price.
Right.
And if you can be
Right.
that person that they can go to,
Right.
for tips and tricks, they'll,
I could do
gain
these
that trust and
cameras
stuff.
too because these aren't the world's most expensive cameras,
right.
but they are like really powerhouses, and
Yeah.
I got them mostly because they run like continuously.
Yeah,
because a lot
which
of
is hard to find.
right because a lot of these cameras record like half an hour
Right.
or whatever,
10
and,
minutes sometimes.
right, and
yeah.
I mean this podcast, this one itself is going about an hour and a half.
Right.
So, yeah.
Cool.
So be on the lookout if you're in the market for gear in a year or two after this
Well,
is
how
out.
many times do people ask you what like thing would you recommend?
Enough that I have an Amazon list
Then you-
created.
Yes. It's time.
Yeah.
So I saw a reel from Emily today,
Uh-huh.
and when she sings "It's Time," when she hears that in her
Oh,
head,
uh-huh.
she thinks of Mariah Carey. It's time before Christmas. She says that, and then her
her
song
anthem comes on?
Yeah, the Christmas one.
I never heard the
Mhm.
beginning of it.
And so when she thinks of
No,
that,
it's Mufasa.
exactly, that's what you and I think of.
It's what everyone should think of. Well, no, it's not Mufasa actually. It's
No.
Rafiki. It's the
yeah.
monkey. It's
Yeah.
time.
It's time.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're a little slap.
All right,
happy.
well-
We're gonna go to bed.
Yeah, we're tired and we've taken up enough of your time.
Right.
Well, with that, it's been another great episode. Oh,
Wait.
sign up for Patreon. Don't
Sign up
forget
for
to sign
Patreon and participate in the giveaway, please. We're trying to grow our Instagram,
Yeah.
and we're going to be trying to grow our patrons as well.
Yes.
So, yeah.
So yeah,
Check
if
that
this is
out.
if you're listening to this podcast for the first time,
Yes.
sign up to all the things now.
Yes.
Yeah.
It'll be
Just
worth it.
Search for Riley
It's like
Black
15
Project.
15 plus prizes for the giveaway.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Okay, for a bye.
and with that, it's been another great episode of the Riley Black Project. Crystal and John.
Bye.
Maybe we're all done.